Alright guys, today we're going to show you how to make a great little jig for your table saw. It's a thin strip ripping jig. It'll help you safely and accurately make very thin strips that are difficult to cut otherwise. And really all you need to make it is an old feather board and some scraps, a little bit of hardware here and there. We'll show you all the details. To get started, we'll just cut a piece of 3/4 inch MDF to the size we need. The size of this jig is a little bit variable, just make it fit for the table saw you're using. And luckily we can cut the plastic laminate with the same tools. Carbide tipped saw blades work just great for cutting plastic laminate, just like it was lumber. So it's a little bit thin and flimsy, so use a push paddle to help control the cut. But otherwise, you'll have no trouble cutting plastic laminate with a table saw. Sometimes I'll use my fence in the low position, but for this next operation, you want to definitely put it in the high position to get that extra fence support. The idea is to use a single kerf table saw blade and go ahead and have the workpiece in a vertical position to pass that across the blade. Then rotate the board 180 degrees and make a second pass. This will slightly widen the groove for us, but also ensure a perfectly centered groove. Continue to make pairs of passes like that until it fits the bearing for this project. And then we'll just knock the corners off of the MDF workpiece, do a little sanding, and attach that plastic laminate. Give the laminate a good rolling with a work feed support roller to make sure you have a nice permanent bond with the contact adhesive. As you flush trim the laminate, it's helpful to use a bit that's guided by a bearing but also has a slight bevel to it. This will make it a little softer on the hands as you use the jig in the shop. If you wind up with a little contact cement on the plastic laminate, don't sweat that. A little mineral spirits will quickly remove it. Next, it's on to creating a little recess in the top of the jig and then drill a pilot hole all the way through. After that, just switch to a slightly larger diameter bit, something that will fit the steel sleeve that we'll install next. That's a through hole as well, and then we'll get started installing that hardware. Go ahead and slip the bearing in position and then tap the steel sleeve down into the hole you drilled. And finally, secure everything with threaded sleeves. Then it's off to the router table. We're going to use a 1/4 inch spiral bit to make 2 slots in the jig. I like to make these slots in 2 passes for safety. After you get the slots done, go ahead and borrow the hardware from a feather board. And it's just identical hardware, and this will make sure that it's easily secured in a miter slot on your table saw. So we'll get those knobs threaded on and test this jig out. To install the jig, just drop it in the miter slot, set the spacing you want according to the thickness of the strip you want, and secure the knobs. That little ball bearing is your reference surface. So slide the workpiece over to the bearing and go ahead and make your cut. Now with each repeated cut, all you have to do is reset the fence to the jig and repeat the process. Makes it really slick and reliable this way, and there's no chance of the part binding between the blade and the fence. Never ever cut thin strips at the table saw this way, because of course the offcut can turn into a projectile across your shop. Instead, just use a thin ripping jig to safely and accurately make those cuts. It'll improve the quality of your cuts as well. Alright guys, there you go. A thin strip ripping jig that you can quickly and easily make for your table saw. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one.